Welcome everybody back to KhaldorTV with more Heroes of the Storm. We're starting today with the Enter the Storm playoffs. We have in total 16 teams, the top 16 teams in Europe, fighting for prize money of $10,000 and additional cash prize or additional hardware prizes in $8,000 for an online tournament. That's actually pretty sick, and that is the tournament with the most prize money besides Blizzard's own tournaments, at least when we're talking about online tournaments. And right now we're having our first group stage. TeamLiquid is playing here. We are also seeing Team Mozzarella, a team formed by members of Nihilum and Fnatic. We have Alternate Fancy in the group and the Goofers. The top two of the group will advance to the round of 8, where we're going to have a double elimination system bracket, which is going to be pretty sick. But today we're going to find out which two teams out of this group are going to advance, or at least we're going to start with that. Our first match is TeamLiquid versus Team Mozzarella, two very strong teams facing off against each other, and especially Team Mozzarella. They have a few new players here, because Huron team, one of the Spanish teams that we've seen in the past few weeks, they disbanded, and Team Mozzarella picked up two of their players, Shat and Vippolino. In our first game today, we're on Sky Temple, and also another thing that's pretty cool with this is that we have Kharazim the Monk for the first time in competitive play. He's allowed for the End of the Storm playoffs, and we're already seeing him here. But we also have a lot of specialists that we haven't seen in quite some time on the side of TeamLiquid. They love to draft compositions here with the Lost Vikings, with Abathur and with Illidan, and that's exactly the setup that they got in the draft. They also have a Johanna with this, and they're using a Rhaegar. So a really sick setup for TeamLiquid, exactly what they want. And Mozzarella, well, they probably knew what TeamLiquid was trying to draft, so I guess that they are very confident that with their own setup they are able to take them down. They run Leoric as a solo tank, the Monk as a healer as mentioned before, and we have them also with the Zeratul in their midst. So a pretty heated up series here already, with a sick draft that we're having for the two teams, and I can't wait to see the Monk in action. So guys, let's not stall this out even further. We're going to jump into game number 1 on Sky Temple in this best of 3 series at the End of the Storm 3 playoffs. Welcome everybody to game number 1 in the End of the Storm playoffs. We have our group stage. It is Group A, and we have 4 teams playing, and 2 of them are in this match here, the first game of the group with TeamLiquid against Mozzarella. We're going to talk a lot about these teams, we're going to talk a lot about the compositions, but let's introduce our players first here on our first map, Sky Temple. To the left side it is on the Lost Vikings, Vortex for TeamLiquid. We have Black Scorp on Illidan, Falcon on Abathur, Gran Paquete on Rhaegar, and Lucifron playing Johanna. This time the Monk is allowed, and Ace of Spades for Team Mozzarella is playing Kharazim with Halo on Zagara, Vippolino on Leoric, Tazdingo on Vala, and Shad on Zeratul. And we already have Falcon right over here going straight with his Abathur into the mid lane. There's a ton of stuff to talk about, and I guess we should start with this right away. So, first of all, if you guys don't know Team Mozzarella, then you might at least recognize a few of the player names here. Ace of Spades has been playing for Fnatic for a long time. Tazdingo, a former player for Team Nihilum. Holo was playing for Acer before, and as you can see, we're also having 2 Spanish players in here with Vippolino and Chat. They were part of Huron team just recently. Huron team disbanded, and now these 2 joined up with Team Mozzarella. And Mozzarella actually is a newly founded team, but very strong players here. They participated in 1 single qualifier for Enter the Storm, and they immediately won the entire tournament and therefore qualified for the group stage. So actually pretty sick kill by Shad against Rhaegar, but also pretty sick performance by Mozzarella in general. And that is of course one of those things where we're going to see in this tournament how far they can actually go. They get the first kill here against TeamLiquid. They are up against the toughest opponent, and TeamLiquid won the last End of the Storm. They won Enter the Storm too, and now they are going in again into this group stage with the goal to of course qualify as the #1 spot. And I'm very interested to see if they can pull that off, or if Team Mozzarella is a worthy opponent that is able to take them out. We're going to talk about Kharazim, of course, also Lord the Monk being played for the first time here on the European server. He is allowed in this tournament, and we're seeing him on level 1 with Transcendence going into the heal build, of course, which is pretty much the standard these days. The temples are already active. Vortex is trying to secure some experience at the bot lane, and to me the draft was a very big surprise, and the reason for that is pretty simple. I actually called the entire composition of TeamLiquid before we even started the draft for a very simple reason. They've been playing this for ages. They love to play Abathur, Illidan and the Lost Vikings on this map. They just try to get as much experience as possible with the Vikings and also Abathur, and then they just move around their opponents the entire time, pushing in lanes, gathering experience, trying to play the objectives, and once that they establish a lead in experience, and especially a lead in talents, they move in and start to take team fights. They don't really try and take team fights before that. If they are forced into one, of course, they will accept it, but they always try to dodge them until they really have to, and it works extremely well for them. They have been so successful with this composition that I personally was absolutely sure that something would be banned out. I've seen teams ban out Abathur and the Lost Vikings on this map in particular against TeamLiquid, but Mozzarella just simply said, no, we don't. They didn't really care. And there's only two explanations. Either they didn't know, then they screwed up, or they just said, hey, our comp is going to be so much stronger than yours, we don't really care if you get your dream composition together, because we're going to beat you either way. And they run Zagara at the top lane here in this case. You've maybe already seen that Zeratul is currently claiming the bot lane, trying to farm here a little bit. It's important for Shad to get those kills in, since he is running Seasoned Marksman on level 1. But usually you find Zagara on the bottom lane. In this case, though, they had a bit of a switch, so they switched lanes and put Zagara up to the top lane, where she already pushed the wall in just a bit. They, of course, got the temple as well. TeamLiquid is already working on that experience lead that we've been talking about, and it's these days a lot more popular to actually go into those healing talents on Rhaegar. Chain Reaction as a level 4 talent after Spirit Walker's Grace. We've even seen a lot of Bloodlust being played by teams like Virtus.pro during the Road to BlizzCon qualifier, and Bloodlust now got a huge reduction in the cooldown from 120 seconds down to 90 seconds. That 2-minute cooldown was just absolutely ridiculous, and Blizzard realized that they needed to do something about it and reduce it heavily. The same happened also, by the way, to the Ultimate Evolution on Abathur, so that cooldown got reduced by 20 seconds. Actually, a ninja nerf that wasn't even mentioned in the patch notes, from 70 seconds down to 50. Super important here as well. And currently, we have a lot of pressure at the bot lane again, where Holo and Ace of Spades are pushing the lanes in. We are still seeing, especially Shad, trying to hunt a few of the Vikings, and he got another kill there, so they have 1.5 kills. And even though TeamLiquid is slightly ahead in experience, when we're looking at the structures, Team Mozzarella is doing a ton of work. They're not going into this Leoric, I don't care about the rest of my team composition, and they can't really, because they are running him as a solo tank. Nice kill against Rhaegar, look at Ace! Wow! He's probably really happy about the Monk, because that means as a support player he also finally has the opportunity to go deep and take down a few targets. He's running this with a protective shield on level 7, on level 4, and the Echo of Heaven on level 7 for the second heal. So that's also a pretty cool talent here to take. It's pretty much standard to go for these talents if you're trying to go for a healer build on him. At least that's the build that's being played the most in scrims these days. But in, of course, competitive matches we have not seen him enough yet. The Mule is going to be a very big asset for TeamLiquid in this case, especially, of course, since we are not seeing a Mule for the opponent. Shad with very nice damage here against Black Scorp, who had to use his first aid already, but Shad needs to move back. Vippolino is already there, and all of a sudden Black Scorp finds himself in a lot more trouble than he asked for, has to be helped out by Falcon, and Shad is thinking about following him. And they might even get that kill there. The rest of the team is currently at the bot lane. Shad is blinking in, but has to move away now, since, of course, Abathur is helping out Illidan and can dish out a bit more damage. But the bot lane, that's where we're seeing the Monk. Kharazim is doing his thing. Tazdingo and Holo are helping him out. We are having on level 7 now the Earth Shield taken on the side of Rhaegar. So going for a build that really evolves a lot around the healing power and also about the shield. That chain reaction on level 4 is pretty solid if you are trying to keep a single target alive. You start with the Earth Shield and then you go straight for the heals there. Level 10 for both of the teams. Not really a lot of fights yet, but we have seen a couple of kills, mostly against TeamLiquid, and they are running this with an Evolved Monstrosity. Monty is going to be part of their composition here, even though there was a massive cooldown reduction on Ultimate Evolution, they're not using it, and on this map you can go for very good split push power. As heroic abilities, we're seeing the Divine Palm for Kharazim, so the Monk is using his survivability talent, if you so want. We have also two great heroic abilities that can help to section off parts of the opponent's team composition with Void Prison and also more. So Zagara and Zeratul are going to try to isolate heroes with these two abilities, or just use them so that they can retreat with the rest of the team. If you want to disengage, these two heroics are extremely important as well. Vala went for a complete arrow build here, going on level 1 for the Siphoning Arrow and then for the Puncturing Arrow on level 4 with the Repeating Arrow on level 7. So trying to get most of the damage in with this. It makes a lot of sense to do that on temples. It's a very popular build these days. You sometimes still have Composite Arrow, multi-shot hybrid builds, but in this case now we are still seeing that one-on-one build. And it's especially good when you're up against a melee assassin, since you oftentimes find yourself in a one-on-one situation, and then this is the build that helps you to do the most damage against a single target, and also it gives you you a bit of additional survivability. Rest of the talents and also the builds that we are seeing is pretty much the standard. On level 4 it's Eric the Swift that we are seeing here with the Viking bribery for the Lost Vikings. And TeamLiquid has been loving this hero for the longest time. Vortex is pretty sad that oftentimes the Lost Vikings are being banned out against TeamLiquid because he's such a great Vikings player. But right now, even though he has been gathering a lot of experience, we are still seeing both of the teams on eye level. So level 12 versus level 12. The bottom temple has already been expired, so they are going to head into the next temple phase soon enough. Down here, Black Scarp on Illidan needs to be a bit careful. Sneaky, attacks the boss and moves away. Tries to make sure that the boss maybe attacks his opponent, which in this case didn't really happen. But now we of course are going to see the teams moving over towards the temple phase number 3. In the mid lane, Lucifer, Grand Paquette and Monty the Monstrosity are currently securing one temple. Nobody at the bottom temple, they're all fighting for this one. The 13 talent will hit very soon now for TeamLiquid. They're not even using Eric to cover the bot or the top lane. In this case they are expecting a team fight. That's why I'm not splitting anybody off. I guess it's going to happen in a second or two, because now we're seeing the commitment by Mozzarella. They move down to the bot lane with their team. They realize that they are lacking a few experience points. They are a bit behind, and that drops the level 13 talent faster into the hands of TeamLiquid. And now they are using this, of course, again with a healing surge. We're also seeing extra damage on Johanna, who went immediately into the Burning Rage. And here are the 13s for Mozzarella. They could try and fight this right now. They can go for the battle. Wormhole being used, and we're seeing the Fists of Fury for the Deadly Reach. The Deadly Reach talent already taken in this case, and they're starting to move in with a Crushing Hope, and already the Void Prison trying to isolate two of the heroes. Grand Paquette is moving in, and we are immediately seeing Illidan trying to join them in the Void Prison. He jumps in with the Metamorphosis, Lucifer with a great shield glare. Everybody having troubles getting those hits in, and Holo with the Divine Palm is being kept alive thanks to Kharazim, but Vala dying, taken down by Black Scorp's Illidan, and he has no trouble whatsoever to drop now Zagara and also Leoric just shortly after that. Great fight on the side of TeamLiquid. Once again their composition works out for them. Illidan as the hero to disrupt the backline, and then they have the rest of the team, just like especially Rhaegar, providing that lightning shield, making sure that the healing power is there to keep Illidan and also, of course, Johanna alive. They were thinking about going for the boss, but had to move away, as Chat already signaled that he is here, knows what's happening. Vipolino and Ace of Spades were also in the vicinity, but still, it is a victory here for TeamLiquid. They are ahead, and they also have that mule that gives them great utility when we are talking about keeping structures alive, and that, of course, will eventually soak up additional shots of temples that are captured by Team Mozzarella. So great start here for TeamLiquid. They get 3 kills in the last fight. Before that, it was more about rotations for them, and that kind of caters to that playstyle that I've been talking about at the beginning. They don't really want to fight until they think that they have an advantage here, and in this case they said with the level 13 talents, hey, we have the opportunity right now. Illidan can be kept alive thanks to his level 13 shield talent. We're having also now, of course, additional burst heal with the healing surge, so let's go for it right away. And they're moving in again. They go straight for Tazdingo. Vala is low. Divine Palm again being used by Ace of Spades on the Monk. Great play here, and now the boat is being eliminated. Good stuns, and the Vikings about to drop, but a nice jump on the side of Vortex keeps him alive for another second. Black Scorp went deep and tries still to take down Vala, but he's being dropped. Vala, on the other hand, dies too, and now it's a 4 versus 4 with one of the Vikings already down. A lot of heroic abilities are gone. Belok even dying as well. Holo is just running for his life, but so is Johanna. Grand Paquette still wants Zagara, but Ace of Spades is there trying to help out, and of course using his healing skills to keep Holo alive. Monty the Monstrosity is eliminated, and now level 16 versus level 15. But still the additional talent for TeamLiquid, and that's an important one. The temple is going to be activated in another 15 seconds, and that's the chance, of course, that Mozzarella really needs to move in. They have Vala back, but Illidan is going to respawn in a few seconds. Mozzarella said, though, all or nothing, go hard or go home, and they went straight for the boss with this one. Here comes now the tidal waves, and we have the adrenaline boost. The boss is being captured, or at least they try to. Vortex being attacked. Grand Paquette is there. Lucifer is moving in. They're getting the kill against Eric, but now Johanna is in business and is going straight for it. They don't have the level 16 talent against the blind against Kharazim, and he gets dropped, and it looks like TeamLiquid steals away the boss in the last second. Vipolino and Leoric is dying too, and TeamLiquid with just the perfect timing rushing in, taking the boss, and it was such a close most fair, but still it is again the Spaniards that are able to claim boss, get the advantage, and now they're also going for the temple. They take the temple, they take the shots. The 16 talent wasn't there yet. Circle of Life now being used for the additional healing power on Kharazim, and the Monk, he is keeping his mates alive. That deadly palm that we saw now several times in action thanks to Ace of Spades with perfect timing kept so many heroes alive, but still it is TeamLiquid with the lead, and they have nearly a 2-level lead now over their opponents in this first game of the best of 3 series at the end of the Storm group stage. And here in the playoffs we are now seeing the Spaniards moving in again and trying to drop the first keep. The one thing to really keep in mind is that we are not having a mule on the side of Mozzarella. Only TeamLiquid is running a mule, and therefore they can heal their structures up and have still a fort available up to the top lane. Super important here, of course. Now, in general, just to look a bit at the healing power and also the damage, healing power on Kharazim is 40,000 right now. Rhaegar has 27,000. So, really not all that much, but then again, he didn't really have to use his ancestral healing too much. Didn't have a lot of opportunities for that to really dish out the healing numbers there, but still a pretty solid performance here by Kharazim, and he only died once thus far. The only hero in their setup that didn't die yet is Zeratul, and Zeratul of course still going for Seasoned Marksman, so he is going to try and get the damage in the later stage of the game. Up to the top now we have Shad. Is he gonna hunt down Monty? The Monstrosity is getting really strong. Once that you have those 30 stacks through minion kills on the Monstrosity, it has a lot of damage available to it. With that level 16 talent, you just saw it in action, the adrenaline boost here for the extra speed. You can also maneuver a lot faster with the Monstrosity on the map. It's one of those talents or one of those abilities where you oftentimes even get the level 20 talent for it to make it possible with the Monstrosity to burrow from one lane to another. But Hive Mind got buffed in the recent patch as well and is therefore a bit stronger, so it's actually pretty cool to use that talent as well. Well, with stronger, I should probably clarify. The one thing that's really good about it is that you even if if you have Hive Mind on 2 heroes and they move away from each other, it will search every single second for another Hive Mind target right next to the hero that is still being shielded by the symbiote, and therefore it is a little bit more useful. You don't have to jump in and jump out every few seconds to make sure that you get those doubled symbiotes in. But for now, up at the top, Monty is being attacked by 5 heroes. They're really trying to gank him down, and they can make that happen. So Monty is dead. We're seeing now Vipolino and the rest of Team Mozzarella going straight in against not only that Bruiser camp, but of course they're also going to try and take the fort. The problem that they are having is that the rest of TeamLiquid just simply says, yeah, you can take the fort, we don't have a problem with that, because we're going to go for the keep in the mid lane, and that's going to be an exchange in our favor. And we're also going to get level 20 because of it, and there it is. They get the level 20 talents, Ragnarok and Roll being used as expected, Hive Mind on 20. And now the temple up at the top lane, covered by Ace of Spades. Down to the bottom though, we have Vortex in position. We see now Demonic Form. We have a Rewind on Rhaegar. Monster heals for him in those team fights. And Indestructible, the shield, taken for Johanna. Once again, Shad moves in, and he's going to claim that victory against against Olaf. But still, they are starting to run in a bit of trouble here, because right now we are still looking at Vipolino and Holo in the mid lane. They are trying to get experience since they are not on level 19 yet. They need more time, and they need a lot of it. Zeratul can claim a few of those hits down at the bot lane. He actually nearly died and has to move back now. But they're not going to take the keep, and that is a big issue. Eric got killed, but just look at the keep over here. Without a mule, you can't heal this one up. It's actually going to die against the temple. There's still a few shots left, so that is keep number 2 that was just eliminated. Team Mozzarella finds themselves in a very tricky position, especially since the shots are now already starting to target the keep at the bot lane. And that is down to 30% health. So right now, that means 2 more temples during one of the next phase, and game's over. 2 more temples is all that TeamLiquid needs, and the objectives alone will finish the game and drop the core. If they take down that keep even before that happens, then a single temple is all that's needed to win this first game for them. So that's going to be a pretty big problem here. There's a lot of money on the line here, of course, in the end of the Storm tournament. We have $10,000 in prize money. That's only the cash prize, by the way. When we're talking about additional hardware prizes, that's another $8,000. So 16 teams are still in the competition, and we are, over the next 2 weeks, going to check out the group stages. We have 4 groups with 4 teams each, and out of each group, 2 teams will advance, and then we have a super awesome weekend with 8 teams fighting over 3 days for the tournament victory in a double elimination system. Now, Nice. There they are starting in. They have the level 20s now. Oh, Vengeance used. The additional strafe talent. And the stun against Vala. Stunned out of the strafe. And here we go. Strafe being used actually in this case. And they get some damage in. They drop Illidan super fast. This is the time where they can fight Mozzarella. They try to go for the victory. A Grand Paquete heals himself. Lucifron's indestructible already proc. We have the kill against Kharazim and also against Zeratul though. TazdDingo is rushing away, one arrow after another, but it's not enough damage. And TeamLiquid, they want to go for the victory right now. They already have a big push at the bot lane with the double siege giant about to drop that last remaining keep. And now they are going to go straight in for the kill against their core. Very, very well played here. Great last team fight in this game, and now they shouldn't have a trouble to really deal with this. The Mana Mule already dropped, dropping it right in front of the opponent's core. So, yep, there it is. This is going to be the victory in game number 1 for TeamLiquid. Team Mozzarella, they've been trying, but they just did not have enough damage in these team fights. They allowed TeamLiquid one of their favorite compositions, and the Spaniards took the victory. Well done, and the 1-0 lead in the series now for TeamLiquid, and we are going to head straight into game number 2. TeamLiquid is victorious on the first map. They win Sky Temple, and they had a pretty cool setup there. And in a few of those teamfights, actually, it was very, very close regardless. So there was a chance for Mozzarella to turn things around, but TeamLiquid was just extremely solid, especially in the mid game and in the late game, keeping themselves ahead in experience thanks to the Vikings and Abathur. At the beginning of the game, Mozzarella really fighting back a lot, and they had a couple of very nice team fights that could have snowballed in their favor and maybe given them a lead here. Especially, of course, that boss fight where they didn't have the extra talent yet was absolutely crucial here. But we've seen some pretty cool fights and a really nice game. It is still the lead for TeamLiquid, and we're going to go into game number 2 now, which is on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And again, we're seeing the Monk. Kharazim is being played by TeamLiquid this time. They're going to try and run it with a hero here as a solo healer. And what we're also seeing is Reyna. Jimmy is back. We have him in this game, and he's played by Team Mozzarella. So there were a couple of changes to focus attack and to a few other abilities of Reyna as well. And he was already one of the heroes the team started to consider again in the last patch, but right now he's getting a bit more popular since he is definitely buffed. The question is he strong enough now, yes or no? We're going to find out in this game at least if Mozzarella can, with Jimmy's help, take down TeamLiquid and force a third map, or if the Spanish Armada is claiming another 2-0 victory. The second game is on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and we have the Monk in action again, and we also have an old friend again in the draft, and I am happy to introduce him. But before we start with that, we're going straight into the player setups. To the left side of the map, it is the Spanish Armada. TeamLiquid with Vortex on Kel'Thas, Grand Paquete on the Monk, he's playing Kharazim. We have Lucifron on Johanna, Black Scorp on Arthas, and Falcon on Nazeebo. To the right side of the map, though, we have Ace of Spades on Uther, we have Holof on Vala for Team Mozzarella, Vipelino is playing in Uberak, and Shatley Oryx, a double warrior setup for them, as also for TeamLiquid. And we are seeing, who is this? This is Jimmy! TazdDingo playing Reyna in this game, and we are seeing him with Seasoned Marksman. I'm loving it. On this map in particular, it's quite easy to build up those Seasoned Marksman stacks, and this is going to be pretty awesome. Reyna has received a few buffers, just tiny ones, but it just adds up all in all. And of course, Seasoned Marksman is, for example, a little bit stronger right now. Focus Attack is a bit stronger, so both talents are used by Reyna in most cases, and this is one of the reasons why he also received a bit of a passive buff as well. It's not only a few of his talents that were changed, but with those talents that are just universal on a few of the heroes or general talents, he has received quite a bit of an improvement as well. If you talk about focused attacks, for example, before that it was like any attack, even one against the minion, could do that extra damage. Right now it's only the attacks against heroes that can do it, so it's a little bit better. But it's going to be super fun to see how exactly it's going to be played out in this game here in particular. Tomb the Spider Queen is of course amazing when it comes to all kinds of talents where you need to put up regeneration globes. Oh, but Reyna! Ah, TazdDingo not expecting that rotation apparently. It was, to be honest, a pretty obvious one. The 4-man rotation from the mid lane up to the top lane, so that seems to be a bit unexpected for him. Not that it has too many consequences here, losing one hero early on in the game, but it definitely puts you a bit behind and shows that your opponent is willing to play very aggressive here. For now, we're seeing also another globe talent. Actually, we're seeing a lot of globe talents, not only one. We have Reanimation, we have Conjurer's Pursuit. We're actually seeing very similar talents on the side of TeamLiquid as well, running here the Death Ritual and also, of course, the Mana Addict, which is really common for Kalthas in particular now, because in 16 you oftentimes take the shield, and that is going to be improved by the Mana Addict in itself. So quite an important synergy that you have there. Yeah, well, looking at the bot lane, we're having the standoff duel between Black Scorp on Arthas and Vipellino on Anubarak, so both of them are probably not going to be too worried about rotations coming in as well. We're seeing Shad, Ace of Spades and Taz Dingo now in the mid lane. Taz has missed out on a few of his potential stacks there, and he's going to get those soon. We're seeing right now the bot lane actually a bit attacked here. Ace of Spades moving in. Black Scorp is safe though. And a different build for Kharazim as we are getting level 4 here. So to understand how exactly this works, if you look at the Transcendence, you have to choose between heal, damage or Mana Monk on level 1. And every third attack heals nearby allies. So a lot of the players will on level 4 go for the Protective Shield or just simply use other talents that really help you directly with heal or shield abilities. But in this case it's now Overtake, and that is a movement speed increase too. So you can just try to go for a few more Deadly Reach talents to get even more heal out. Black Scorp, by the way, is getting completely stomped into the ground by those 4 heroes. There's no way for him to get away from this one. But there's a 4-man rotation, so they're using this as a bit of a setup with Taz Dingo in the mid lane, trying to get additional stacks now. And we have Grandpa Kette moving in and just attacking everything he can. And currently with that movement speed, he will also have an easier time chasing down targets and getting away from them. So yeah, it's a bit of a different setup with Grandpa Kette's build than what we've seen from Ace of Spades in the last game. But that makes the Monk just such an interesting hero right now, because he's very new and all of the teams are playing with him. And so far we're actually seeing him with quite some action in the game. Well, of course, Focus Attack, I've been talking about the talent a bit. So it does now 75% additional damage, and as mentioned before, it's only against heroes. At basic attacks against a hero. That's one of the things that got changed about the Focus Attack. Before that it was also attacks against minions, and therefore a passive buff to Reyna as well, since this is one of the builds that has been used in Reyna for quite some time. With the entire setup that we're seeing for Team Mozzarella, oh, can they get Black Scorp? 1 stun, 2 stuns, and Vipellino actually missing the last stun on Arthas. But as I was about to say, with that setup for Reyna, one of the things that Mozzarella is committing to here also is the late game. They are saying, okay, Reyna is going to get most of his damage out on the later stages of the game, so we have to make sure that in the early stages we're still getting our damage in and we're not going to be overrun by our opponent. And level 7 is a bit faster for TeamLiquid. Also the first Webweaver set is in play now for them. So TeamLiquid is trying to ride that momentum wave that they have, take down structures, and it's more about the walls than anything else. Very rarely will you see a team being able to drop an entire fort in with the first Webweaver wave. That usually doesn't happen unless you're already ahead or you have a very strong early game composition and your opponent doesn't. But it's more about those structures. Getting the towers alone will already give you a bit of a lead, and if you then can pick off another hero, then you might actually find one of the forts dropping right away. At this point we're seeing now also as the additional talents here, the Echo of Heaven, taken. Heaven? I'm drawing a blank here. It's Heaven, right? Wow. Oh my god. Wow. No, that's Heaven. Jesus, like, guys, sometimes I'm really drawing a blank there. Sometimes you read a word and you're like completely... Oh, God. Yeah, that was quite embarrassing there, so let's just ignore that for now. We're seeing the second heal wave coming in from Kharazim at this point. We're also having Conviction taken here, and then also Gitbin. It's really like these things where you drift, for some reason, even if you think it's right, even if you know, or kind of you should know that you're right about something, you are uncertain for a second, and then you start doubting yourself, and you're like, oh my god, I probably made a mistake there, and you start rethinking and overthinking things, and yeah, that usually doesn't end well. Especially when you do it live on stream, it usually results in very embarrassing moments like this one. Very embarrassing is also, well, that... actually nothing. That attack that we saw from TeamLiquid was a solid attempt to take down a hero. They didn't get a kill out of it, but yeah, they really put in the work there with a 4-man rotation, but there was just like too much on the side of Team Mozzarella. Who, by the way, got now their own Webweaver wave. It's level 9 versus level 8, so there are no heroic abilities in play yet, but the teams are both just trying to drop a hero or two, or maybe just the wall. getting back in experience, closing that gap is what we are at this point seeing for Team Mozzarella. They're running Revolution Overdrive on the side of Reyna in this case now. And Reyna up at the top lane has to still be careful because, well, there is still that wall of zombies that you can use to trap him. Escape was always his problem. He doesn't have a barrel roll, he doesn't have a vault like Vala, he just doesn't have anything like this. He can only run away, he gets a bit of a speed bonus, but that's already about it, and he of course can also use his penetrating round to push somebody back. Shat gets a living bomb and is kind enough to go straight to TazzDingo and says like, hey buddy, got a present here for you, and shares the damage. What a kind person. But in general, you want to keep away from these living bombs because, yeah, they do AoE damage. Level 10s are a bit faster for Team Mozzarella. Sorry, for TeamLiquid, of course. We're seeing them with Gary the Gargantuan, the Divine Palm on Kharazim, our Monk. Phoenix, Blessed Shield, and Army of the Dead are being taken right now. And I'm pretty curious to see what exactly we're seeing for Team Mozzarella. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Banshees for Reyna, but I feel on this map it could go into the Hyperion as well. The Banshees are more the standard talent that you see on him, since single target damage is what you're aiming for. And there they are, Reyna's Raiders, the Banshees are being brought into play. Raid of Vengeance, Divine Shield, Web Blast, and also the March of the Black King. And they're going in already with TazzDingo dropping a lot of damage onto Kel'Thas himself, and Kel'Thas is dead. Vipolino tries to move away, Ace of Spades heals him up in the last second. A Divine Shield on the side of Vala is helping out here too. Everybody's super low, but they're trying to get another kill. What a Howling Blast! A 3-man Howling Blast, and Shat is being dropped. TazzDingo is rushing away now. Vipolino moves in for an attempted stun to help them out, but those Web Weavers are still pushing in. It's a 4 versus 4 in this case, and another route against Vala, who gets healed, but dropped regardless. Ace was trying to do what he could, but in this case, there was just absolutely no chance. So at this point, we're having them dropping the first fort, and well, it's level 12 versus nearly level 11 at this point. We currently... we currently have them moving in up that lane, and Nubarak is now also dead. That's way too much pressure against Team Mozzarella now. The bot lane, there's the Web Weaver still pushing in against another fort, and that fight started so well for Mozzarella with a kill against Kel'Thas, but now that bad boy is back to business and is starting to drop Phoenixes everywhere and also living bombs. And it's basically a Walmart 2 for the price of 1. That's what you're currently getting out of this, thanks to his passive, thanks to his trade. So yeah, pretty damn good play here by TeamLiquid. They just turned this fight around so easily. It was really impressive. I mean, they lose Kel'Thas right at the beginning of the fight, but they're still able to get a lot of damage out. Everybody's low for Team Mozzarella, and TeamLiquid is able to pick off kill after kill and now end up in a situation where they are looking extremely solid. They have a 2-level lead. Well, make that 1.5. We're having, by the way, now Quicksilver used on the side of Kharazim. That's a lot of movement speed bonuses that he has. Not only the level 4 talent, but also the level 13 talent. Very different play on builds what we've seen in the last game. And a sneaky boss attempt for Team Mozzarella. They're pretty cheeky here, aren't they? I mean, they move in and try to drop the boss while they are still down 1 talent, and TeamLiquid is just too good to let that happen. They are not screwing around here. They realize that nobody's on the map, and they're like, boys, they can't be doing boss, right? They're behind. But that's exactly what Mozzarella was trying to do. They were trying to sneak it in. Now here is also the Gravity Lapse against TazzDingo. He moves away, and the Wall of Zombies is just a second too late to really trap him. The Thing of the Deep is helping out Nazebo. Sometimes we see a build that is a bit different and focuses on the Toad talents on level 7 and level 13 when you give up Gitbin and the Thing of the Deep. It can be really strong actually, but a lot of the Nazebo players still get straight into Gitbin on 7 and then on 13 go for Thing of the Deep now that there is no sprint anymore. For Nazebo, got taken away in the last patch. We're having also the extra damage now with the Biting Cold for Arthurs, who wants to drop the extra DPS in these fights, and the Chain Bomb to kind of complete the build that we are seeing for Kel'Thas, and Holo gets that damage now too. This is basically, once we have, it's the Oprah talent. Once that you hit level 13, Kel'Thas becomes Oprah. You get a living bomb, you get a living bomb, everybody gets a living bomb. That's what happens. So it's the Oprah talent on level 13. and that is where he gets a lot of his damage from. Once that you start to cluster as a team when you're up against the Khaldors, you know that you're in trouble. That's also one of the reasons why it's oftentimes a very good talent or a good hero to play against Kharazim, against the Monk. The Monk has to go really close to his allies if he wants to get the maximum healing power, and therefore it's a perfect counterplay. Once that one of these guys gets a bomb and Kharazim jumps in to try and heal everybody, you could end up with 4 heroes being just like a living bomb being applied to 4 of them. So oftentimes that's why you see a ban on Khaldors, or why you are seeing Khaldors together with Kharazim, just to take it away from your opponent. The 13 talents now are dropping the Giant Killer into the hands of 2 heroes, and that is very dangerous for the 2 tanks that we're seeing for TeamLiquid. TeamLiquid is running not only Johanna, but also Arthurs, and we have now a full DPS single target build for Reyna, and also more DPS for Vala. Imposing Presence was nerfed in the patch, slightly, and that can be quite strong, but I could still see it being played here, because, well, if you use it on the front line, then at least you're going to be a bit safer against these strong DPS heroes. And as more as the game progresses into the late game, we're going to see the strength of Team Mozzarella increase. The early game, that's where they already said right from the beginning that they would probably suffer here a bit. They suffer a lot right now, and, well, so it's not only a bit, but here come the stuns, and wow, Vala taken out, Black Squad coming in from behind, they came from behind, and Khaldors is now being dropped as well. So it's a 4 versus 4 once again, and Dingo, so much damage. No level 16 talents yet, though. The Divine Shield on the Nubarak, and they're trying to rush away. Taz is going in, and he kills Johanna. Dingo on his Reyna, going straight for Black Scorp here. And he is by now on 34 season marksman stacks, and he is doing solid single target damage right now. Just to give you a bit of an idea about the damage that we're talking about, 21,000, and that is mostly single target damage. That's pretty solid. It's not really the same amount of damage that we're seeing for Nazeebo, who's currently at 29,000, but Nazeebo does area damage, and he does damage that tickles in over time. Whereas Dingo on his Reyna now does single target damage mostly against heroes, and that is really dropping a lot of pressure on both of those tanks. Vala finds herself in a very similar situation. She also has the Giant Killer now, but she's still a hero that relies heavily on multi-shot and also on the arrow. Problematic for Team Mozzarella is at the same time, though, that they're not only behind the talent, but they're also losing their keeps. The first one is down. They lost the mid keep. We have now, with the level 16s, 1 Imposing Presence at least taken. Arthur's just decided that it's time for him to get the Stone Skin here, which helps him in those fights, of course, a lot. Circle of Life now being used as well, and that's of course going to be pretty awesome to get the additional heal power out for Kharazim. There's Arcane Barrier, and that is a talent that just procs so well with Mana Addict. It's a great talent to have. So without the 16s, it is a risk for Team Mozzarella to fight. It's a big risk, a very big risk. But if they get a hero like Vortex here, they can make it work. They go in, but Divine Palm saves him for now in the kill against the Nubarak, and everybody on the side of Mozzarella is now solo. They're fighting without the 16 talent, and they're getting punished for it. Down goes Uther, Vala, and Nubarak, and goodbye, Leoric. Was nice knowing you. They don't even care about him. They just let him go. They just get him. They just say, okay, we're going to take the game. We're going to take the game. We move in and take the core, and they are going to get it. No problem for them to going straight in against the core kill, and that is a 2-0 in favor of Team Liquid. Really, really well played. Yeah, they take the opportunity that they had, and the last team fight decided the game and the match in their favor. Great play by them. Congratulations. Shad and Black Scorp are dancing. There's nothing that they can do about the outcome of this game anymore, and Team Liquid advances to the winners match. The best of 3 series ends in favor of Team Liquid. They take down Mozzarella for a second time. A 2-0 victory here at the end of the Storm group stage. Very well played by Team Liquid, and it just shows once again how strong these guys are. Extremely well played here by them. And Team Mozzarella, they've been playing a strong game, but against Team Liquid, they just didn't stand a chance there. Very well played by the Spaniards. And well, with that, we're having them now, of course, moving on to the winners match in this group stage. If you guys want to have additional information about how the tournament format works, you can always check out the YouTube description. There's a link for you where you can see the brackets, you can see the prize money, all the dates for the live streams, and of course what else you can expect during the end of the Storm. The games here today, pretty entertaining, pretty cool to see in the new patch, very, very interesting to see the Monk in particular. If you guys like the commentary and the games, then make sure that you give the video a thumbs up on YouTube, and I hope that you guys will tune in for the next video. We're going to see that probably tomorrow, more Enter the Storm action. We still have a couple of Road to BlizzCon matches for you as well, so if you don't want to miss out on all of that, then make sure that you subscribe to KhaldorTV too. And guys, I'll see you next time for more Heroes of the Storm content. Have a great day and see you soon.